Today we're talking about how to get more energy naturally. So there's a lot of unnatural or unhealthy or not so good idea ways to get more energy. To do it naturally, I think it's important first to understand how to properly operate the equipment of your own brain. And I've done a video recently with James Garrett. You can link to it right up here, where we talked about some brain hacks, some ways to develop brain-friendly practices that will actually affect your energy level. So as you review that video, you're going to get some good ideas. And I've got 5 tips for you here today as well. First tip, this is not going to surprise anybody. Get enough sleep. You know how when you feel lethargic during the day and it's like, I had a bad night, I didn't get enough sleep. And yeah, it's going to affect your energy level. You need to get enough sleep. This can be challenging with today's lifestyles. You know what? I attended a seminar a couple of years ago with Dr. John Preston, who was sharing some of the research about sleep and how to improve our sleep. There's some other videos here on the channel that you can find about sleep as well. Here's what he found. There are a few culprits to getting good sleep. So if you're aware of these, you might be able to adjust some of your own behavior. Number 1, alcohol. Alcohol interferes with getting enough sleep. This bugs some people because, they need a drink before they can actually fall asleep. What we're finding with alcohol is that it disrupts different cycles of sleep that you really need to get the restoration effect of the sleep. So it's going to affect the quality of sleep either way. So limiting your alcohol, good idea in terms of sleep. Number 2, caffeine. That's not going to surprise people either because caffeine is a stimulant and it tends to wake you up. People use it to stay awake. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 6 hours. What that means is if you ingest 100 milligrams of caffeine at noon, you still have up to 50 running around in your system at 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. So especially in the afternoon to evening hours before you're intending to sleep, you don't want to have a lot of caffeine intake. In fact, Dr. Preston recommended that you limit your caffeine intake to less than 200 milligrams before noon. Take a look at that. That can affect your quality of sleep. And the other one, interestingly enough, is blue light. Blue light, like the kind that is very prominent in handheld electronic devices, maybe the one that you're watching this video on. Blue light has an effect through the retina and the thalamus of secreting chemicals into our bloodstream that either have us be more awake or calm down and get ready for sleep. Blue light has the get ready to be awake kind of an effect on us. And so we want to limit our screen time, especially around bedtime or times when we want to sleep. Anyway, that's an important thing that we want to be aware of if we want to increase our natural energy. So getting enough sleep. Moving on to tip number 2, get regular exercise. I've talked about this before, and you probably already know that the clinical literature is very, very supportive of a regular exercise routine as supporting brain health. This will increase your energy levels as well. You've probably already told yourself, I need to get more regular with my exercise routine. Well, yeah, you probably do. And this will help to bring up your energy too. What happens, and it's not just exercise, it's overall activity levels. If, for example, you go to the grocery store, not if, when, you're going to be going, right? You can park right up front where you don't have to go very far to get into the store. Or you can park clear out in the North 40 where you have to hike across the parking lot to get to the store. Which one is going to help you have more energy? When it comes to energy, it's not about conservation. You look at little kids, they don't conserve their energy. They're bouncing off the walls. They're all over the place. Having more physical activity as part of your normal routine triggers signals in your brain and in the glands in your body to change your metabolism. This is an important thing to know if you want to increase your energy. So instead of parking up front or close, you're going to park out in the North 40 so that you get some physical activity on the way into the store. This is just an example. What if you get to choose between taking the elevator or taking the stairs? Now, if we're talking 50 flights, then you might want to take the elevator. But what if we're talking 1 or 2 flights of stairs, which are much more commonly encountered in a daily routine of most people? Take the stairs. It's going to help you feel better physically, but it's also going to trigger things that bring up your natural energy levels because of the way your body responds to those signals from the increased activity. Okay, moving on to tip number 3, eat well. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not here to advise you about your diet. The fuel you put through your body matters, and it affects your energy level. Enough said? Okay, pay attention to that. Number 4, smell the roses. This is figurative, right? Because you've heard people say, oh, you need to stop and smell the roses. Yeah, I mean it figuratively, the way we usually use it as a cliche. You need to smell the roses. Notice what's good about life as you're going through the hustle and bustle or the daily tasks and routines that you have. But you know what's really cool? A friend of mine shared with me that it's a literal suggestion too. Find a rose and smell it. The smell of a rose, it's interesting how the olfactory sense connects with different parts of our brain that will have an effect on our energy level, our stress, our sense of well-being. And rose oil, or the fragrance that comes from a rose, actually has some properties that help us to increase our natural energy. So when I say smell the roses, I mean both figuratively and literally. Smell the roses. Now, tip number 5. When I referred to that video, I'll put up a link to that in the description as well. When I talked with James Garrett about the brain hacks, and he compared our brain to a battery, like on your cell phone. You know how the little battery icon indicator, it starts to diminish over time, and pretty soon it shows that you only have this much when you've got this much space in your battery, but you've only got this much charge. You know what I'm talking about. Our brain has a tendency to lose its charge, so to speak, when we engage for long periods of time in executive functioning. So when you're really on, when you're working on stuff, and you're getting things done and you're checking it off your list, picture your battery diminishing, depleting. So tip number 5 is to recharge your brain battery. Get it full again. Okay? Fill that puppy up so that you have the power and the resources and the energy to keep going. How do we recharge our brain battery? There's a lot of ways, and some of the tips were shared in that other video, but really quickly, there are some brain-friendly things that you can do to bring that energy level back up. Taking a break from your work, for example, taking a nap, taking a walk, listening to some inspiring music, smelling some roses, doing things that help to recharge your brain is probably one of the best ways that we have to increase our natural energy. Boy, I don't know what you're going to be doing with all of that extra energy that you're getting, but I'll bet it'll be something great. Thanks for being here at Live on Purpose TV.